Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thank you for joining me. I'm Katie. It's a HIMI horoscope kind of day, so happy birthday Taurus, this one is just for you. I really hope that you have been enjoying these HIMI horoscopes so far. I just think it's quite a fun idea, so obviously I want to share it with you. I'd love to hear in the comments which one your favourite one has been so far, and of course if you are a Taurus or not. So, this was another tricky one. I had to turn a bull into a dragon, or a dragon into a bull. We have that same dilemma again. And I actually found this really hard to do. This is another one that I had to sketch out several times just before I could be happy with it. And I'd settled on a design just in a sketch pad, really, not a fancy one or anything. And when it came to drawing it onto the watercolour paper, it just still was not happening. I just couldn't quite get the proportions right, and translating it across, it just didn't quite look right. And yeah, I had a bit of a challenge with this one. However, I must admit, how this turns out at the end is quite possibly one of my favourite horoscope ones so far. So with Taurus being an earth sign, I had to make sure that the colours were a little bit more on the sides of, well, earthy tones really. So for the background, and that's around the circular bit in the middle, God, I can't speak today, I went for sort of warm reds. I did add a hint of a sort of magenta-y, cooler red, but predominantly I went for the earthy tones. And of course for the dragon's body, definitely went for earthy tones. I still wanted there to be a hint of horoscope about this, so I decided to add the night sky within the circle and let it be part of that background, and I think that really adds a nice balance to it. So I can't translate to what the colours are for HIMI, for the gouache, so I'm just going to speculate that the body of the dragon is painted in a yellow ochre, and to add the warm, well, not warm, but to add the shadows and different textures and tones, I'm going to assume it was an umber, and I used burnt umber for the darker shadowed areas. That's that out of the way with. So let's talk about the dragon design. So I actually found it really hard to create a balance on this one, because I didn't want it to look too much like a cow, but obviously I didn't want it to just completely be a dragon. So I think using the colours I did helps with the colour of the bull, and obviously the horns helped here. I gave this chap excellent long horns, just like a bull, I guess, and I just added a few tassels of darker fur. I suppose it could be fur on a dragon, yeah, fur, and I also gave it a bull's tail, and that's the only thing I could think of where it wouldn't look too much like the other creature, if that makes sense. I did have to make quite a lot of adjustments while painting this though. I wanted him to have quite a light pronounced belly, not pronounced as in sticking out, but the colour standing out more. But that just looked really odd, and I couldn't quite settle on it, so I smoothed that out a bit and just made it more of a tonal difference. And again, I'm happy with how it turned out. Like I said, this was such a struggle to do, just getting the proportions and the balances right, and I'm really glad I persevered and ploughed on through and got it to a stage where I was really happy with it. I wanted the expression on the Taurus dragon to have quite a gentle, friendly face, because I didn't want to do a stereotypical raging bull stomping around the place, because I think cows in general are quite gentle creatures, and I wanted this to sort of show through. And again, I think we've got that, and paired up with the evening, well, with the galaxy, universe, stars in the background, I think it just adds a really nice, calm, tranquil, nice chilled out dragon. Now normally I don't water down my gouache I get it to the nice consistency, but I don't want to lose that opacity. And for the grass beneath him, I actually did water down the gouache because I didn't want the grass to be just that colour, but I didn't want any gaps in between the grass to show up white. And I'm still not a fan of watering it down and using it like a watercolour, and I think that's something I personally need to explore a bit more, and perhaps I'm not getting the balance right, I aren't sure. But for now, especially for these dragons, I will keep the paint thick, but it did give me a bit of food for thought there. To emphasise as well that it was night time, I did not want to leave the grass that bright. I used a cool green, sort of a bit like a minty green, and mixed that in with the darkest blue of the set, just so it reflected the night sky, or reflected the tonal values really, so you could still tell it was grass, but you could tell it was more suited to the light levels. So here in the UK it's been pretty warm, which is unheard of, but also that's kind of typical whilst we're all still in lockdown. The weather's glorious and we can't really go out and enjoy it. However, I've digressed a little bit there. I found that my paint was drying so quickly, and normally I give it a blast with the heat gun just to speed things along a bit, but literally I'd put a stroke down and then it would be dry, and that is really unheard of. Well, for me anyway, I can honestly say I haven't really used gouache for longer than a year. I'd use it to perhaps add a dark background on a watercolour where I just wanted it to be really opaque, but aside from that, until I've started YouTube really, I've not used gouache. I never used to get along with it, but wow, I've learnt so much playing around with it really, and sharing this with you guys too. But yeah, I couldn't believe how quickly it was drying. It's crazy, it's crazy. I think I kind of like it though. I'm quite impatient with my art, so it was quite nice. So I thought, instead of covering a whole dragon in scales like I have done on the other ones, I'd just used them mainly for highlights, and again just to give a bit more form to our character here. And once I started doing that, that was sort of the turning point for me really liking this picture. So I was getting a little bit nostalgic whilst I was painting this, and the colour, I think it was mainly the colours I'd used and the type of dragon that I'd done. It kind of made me think back to how I used to draw dragons like about 20 odd years ago, perhaps a little bit more. And I think again that's another reason why I really started liking it. So because I've been sorting out my studio, I managed to find a lot of these old paintings. So if you would like to see that, I could do a video if you really wanted to, but I'm gonna need a lot of people saying they want to see, because they're really old and it's quite personal and it's a bit of history and it's all a learning curve, so some of them do look a little bit dodgy. But if you want to see that, I'd love to hear in the comments if you'd want to see that. Also, I've decided to put myself through a month of punishment, and I'm going to be doing mermaid. So obviously from the start of May there will be a mermaid every day. Yikes, why do I do this to myself? But I thought I would let you guys know here so that you know first. And I'd really love to invite you to come and watch that. So please keep an eye out in May for when I do mermaid. I will still be doing unboxings and I'll still be doing Gemini for the next month, so don't need to worry about that. Now I've got all my studio tidied up and sorted out, I don't have to spend a week doing that again, at least not for a while. Anyway, after outlining the dragon with the darkest brown in the set mixed with a hint of black, and also adding a gold ring around our dragon, it's safe to say that it is pretty much complete. I just added a little bit of texture on the wings just so they looked like they were folded up a bit more, and touched up a few areas, and of course added the stars, and I am really pleased with how this turned out. Like I say, to start off with, I was thinking I can't redraw this again, but I'm glad I persevered this time, and it was just one of them ones that took a little while to come together. Just to add a bit of variation with the stars though, I did a few twinkly ones, and then I also did some in pink, again just to fill that night sky up and just break it up from being completely flat. Anyway, we are all done. I just want to say a massive thank you for watching this, and of course happy birthday to all of the Taurus people out there. If you have enjoyed this, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And if you really fancy checking out the other ones, I'll pop this in the Dragons playlist. Anyway, I hope you're all staying safe, have a fabulous day, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!